The footprints always start at a headstone and walk away. That is the part nobody wants to hear when I try to explain it. Not toward. Away. I have kept the grounds at a small rural cemetery for 19 years. It is not a frightening place. People think it must be, but a cemetery in daylight is just a field with stories in it, and I know every story out there by name and date. I mow it, I straighten the flowers, I fill the sunken plots when the ground settles. It is quiet, steady work, and I was good at it, and for 19 years the strangest thing I ever found out there was a raccoon that had gotten into the flower shed. Then, in March, after a heavy rain, I found the first set. The ground was soft that morning, soft as new bread, and the prints were pressed into it so cleanly I could see the seams. Bare feet. Adult, I thought, maybe a man's. They began at the foot of a headstone belonging to a Walter Reese, dead since 1974, and they went in a straight line east across the grass for about 40 yards, and then they stopped. Not faded out. Stopped. Like the person who made them had been lifted straight up. I told myself kids. I told myself somebody had come out at night on a dare and walked barefoot in the mud. That explanation held up for about 9 days, until it rained again and I found a second set. This one began at a Margaret Doyle, dead since 1961, and walked east and stopped after 40 yards. Bare feet. Smaller. I want to be very clear about the thing that was wrong, because it took me until the third set to let myself see it. The grass. Where the prints crossed the grass was dead. Not flattened, not bruised the way grass gets when you walk on it. Dead, brown, burned-looking in the exact shape of each foot, and it stayed dead. Those first prints from March are still there. You can go and look at them. 19 years of taking care of that grass, and I have never seen anything kill it in a shape. By May I had 11 sets. Kept a map. I am not a clever man, but I am a thorough one, and I marked each one on a photocopy of the plot plan with the date and the name of the grave it started from, and when I finally sat down and looked at that map all together, I felt the floor of my stomach go out from under me. They all walked east. Every single one. 40 yards and stop. And when I laid a ruler on it, the ending points were not scattered. They formed a line. A long, straight line running north to south through the eastern edge of the property. Right where the old section is, the part from the 1800s where the stones are so worn you cannot read them anymore. I went out there. Of course I went out there. I went in the middle of a bright afternoon with a shovel over my shoulder like a fool, because whatever I am not a man who can leave a thing alone. And in the old section, in the middle of that line, there is a grave with no name. I had walked past it 1,000 times. Low stone, no inscription left, sunk almost flush with the ground. What I had never noticed, because I had never had a reason to look, is that the ground over it does not settle. Every plot in that cemetery settles. That is most of my job, filling them back in year after year, as the earth remembers what is under it. That one is mounded. Slightly. Like something under it is taking up more room than it used to. I did not dig. I want that on the record. I stood there with the shovel and I thought about it for a long time, and then I walked back to the shed and I put the shovel away, and I have not gone into the old section since. But here is why I am telling anyone at all. Last week it rained, and I found the newest set, and it did not come from a grave. Came from the door of my equipment shed. Bare feet, adult, walking east. 40 yards. Stop. And in the dead grass shape of the left foot, pressed down into the burned outline, was my own boot print from the day before, underneath it. Which means whatever made it walked out of the shed I lock every night, in the dark, after I had already gone home. I have been sleeping badly. My wife has noticed. She asked me last night what I keep going out to the porch to look at, and I told her the truth, which is that I am looking east. Because if you stand on my porch and you follow that line, it does not stop at the fence of the cemetery. Keeps going straight and true, out across the Halloran field, and over the creek and past the water tower. And 19 years of walking that ground has taught me exactly how far a straight line runs from the old section to anywhere. That line runs to my house. I counted the sets again this morning. There are 14. There were 13 when I went to bed. And the newest one starts at the bottom of my own porch steps, in the soft dirt where my wife plants her bulbs, and I have not gone out to see which way it walks because I already know it walks east, and I already know it stops after 40 yards, and I have finally understood the thing I should have understood in March. They are not walking away from the graves. 40 yards is just how far they can get in one night.